Welcome back to the third and final Scotland vlog. So this vlog is going to be our 2-3 day venture to the Isle of Skye. Now, you can do tours from Edinburgh or Glasgow, but the only way to truly enjoy the Isle of Skye is to rent a car. And trust me, this is not an easy drive, even for the passenger. I think that this is very stressful, but very worth it. If you're going to be the passenger, I would suggest being an excellent navigator. We did, on our way, go through Glencoe, and then Eilean, and then our Airbnb was near Portree, in between Portree and Broadford, which I believe are some of the two main towns on the Isle of Skye. Anyways, if you're going to do this drive, prepare. It is stunningly gorgeous. I think it is, I hate to say it, but more scenic than Switzerland, New Zealand, and Ireland. This might be the most scenic place I have ever seen in my life, and I've traveled quite a bit to be able to say this. But on the flip side, the roads are extremely narrow, quite windy. There's no like cliff where you're driving up and you have like a steep drop next to you. It's a very special drive. The scenery in Scotland changes on a dime. You could be driving through a meadow, then a gorge, then a waterfall, etc, etc, etc. But just beware. The only way I think to really fully enjoy it is to have a car, and it's not an easy drive. So that being said, it was crazy. I think that was one of the bridges in Harry Potter, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't remember. It sure looked like it. I definitely think I saw it at some point because there were just so many bridges. Or M, we noticed in Scotland that they say M. It's very, very, very cute. Their inflections are different than us boring Americans, but the weather and topography reminded me a lot of New Zealand and Ireland, as in clouds, gloomy, changing on a dime. So I would say weather-wise, you do want to wear layers if you're going up to Scotland, but Glasgow and Edinburgh seem to be more predictable. Okay, so you get the point. Stunning drive, the scenery changes. It can be dry, and then it's green, and then there are clouds, and then there's a meadow. I would say definitely on the way, do try and go through Glencoe. It's not, the important part is not going to Glencoe itself, there's not much there, but it's to see the stuff that's on the drive along the way. At this point in the drive, we definitely were getting tired because we still had a full 3 hours to go. So a lot of people will say it's about, what did they told us that it was 5 hours if you take a shorter way from the Isle of Skye back to Edinburgh, which is to go to Inverness, and then take, A9 all the way down. But still, if you, even with really short stops, we could not do it in 5 hours. I think it's only possible to do it in 5 hours flat if you do not stop at all and you're going a little bit over the speed limit and you don't come into any kind of like traffic, whatever. But some driving tips I would say is that everything's backwards for anybody who drives on the right. So the overtaking lane, they call it, the passing lane, that's going to be on the left, not the right. They have lots of different road signs. Our rental car gave us a little pamphlet that helped us understand them. Definitely as we got closer to the Isle of Skye, the drive got prettier. We started passing lots of gorgeous lakes and just very, very scenic things that reminded me a lot of New Zealand and Ireland put together. New Zealand because of the water and the ruggedness, like this looked like New Zealand to me, and then the greenery reminded me of Ireland a lot, and it's really, really interesting topography. I've really never seen anything like that. But as you can see, it's not these driving alongside major cliffs, it's just that the roads are super narrow. I would say don't do this drive unless you're comfortable driving on the left side. My dad did it before, but yeah. Anyways, we got to Eilean, super worth seeing. It's very, very pretty actually. We didn't go inside, we just took the pictures from the outside, but we had a good little stop here, used the bathroom, and then we hit the road again on our way to our Airbnb, close-ish to Portree, but like 15-20 minutes away. grocery shopping in Portree and then started our full day for the tour of the Isle of Skye. Like I said, the only way to do this is really to rent a car. We didn't see any tour buses or anything doing this. So the best recommendation we got from our Airbnb guy, which we trusted him, don't go to the top. He said, don't go to the top. You know, I can't do a Scottish accent, but you know what I mean. It's the Trottish Peninsula, but we just cut through at a town called Staffin, where you'll see it eventually. We stopped at this really cute cafe. We couldn't even get parking, and we were here at 10 in the morning at this stop. It was unreal. Again, probably the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Gorgeous. But we were on the road at 8:49 in the morning, and it was still already packed with tourists at 10 a.m. during shoulder season. So good luck to you if you want to come to Scotland in the summer is all that I'll say. Luckily, if you're paying attention to the turnouts, or they call the lay-bys, you will find places to stop along the way. Once we pulled over at this juncture and we got a really good view, just like we would have gotten at that parking lot.
Not kidding. Wow, it's gorgeous.
So we pulled over, we stretched, we enjoyed that gorgeousness on to our right. And then we kept making our way up until eventually we accidentally passed Kilt Rock. I think it was Kilt Rock. You can't miss it. It's a gorgeous waterfall thing. There's a little little place for picnicking. What we ended up doing was we drove all the way up to Staffin, which was about 2 miles north of Kilt Rock, and then we turned back around to go see it. There was something that we definitely missed that we never drove in because you have to drive in a little bit to see it. It was a gorge, but whatever. Anyways, the Hungry Ghoul. Can't recommend this place enough. It had incredible vegan coffee and lemon blueberry bread that was unreal. Then we enjoyed our time at this waterfall. I'm pretty sure this was Kilt Rock, but please, if you're Scottish, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then, yeah, we just made our loop back around. I think the second half of the drive of the Trottish Peninsula was easier. The first half was a lot of one-way roads and turnouts and sheep right next to you, and yes, some driving on cliffs and some climbing of being really, really high. So again, I would only drive this if you're really, really comfortable, and if you rent a car, try and get the smallest car possible. That was one of our very big annoyances. One of our grievances was that they gave us a bigger car and we wish that we had a smaller car. Anything zippy and small would give you room because you have very little room in between the cars. I'm talking inches, centimeters. This is what I mean by you'll have some parts of the drive that you do have height beside you, but it's not that bad. You know, like, there are scarier things I think I've seen when driving. Do it again, eh? But it can be very intimidating if you're not used to driving on the left side of the road, so just take precaution. Then we made our way to Portree. This was the end of our drive, so we started by passing Portree and then went all the way around the Isle of Skye and ended in Portree, and we spent around 2 hours walking around. It's very, very tiny. We did eat here. We went to what was it called? I'll put it on the screen. It was so good. It was the place I wanted to go most. My dad said it was the best fish and chips he's ever had in his life, and he's a very, very picky person. I am my father's daughter. And I'm doing a voiceover for this little Airbnb tour because I realized it was very quiet, so it wasn't very good. So, you open the door here, there was a little shoe rack. This was like what I want my dream apartment in Paris to look like, essentially. You have a little bathroom. It was quite dated, but they did have a towel rack. The shower was just like my shower here, actually. Same thing. Pretty modernized toilet. You had a window in there. Then you turned right. There was the kitchen, fully equipped with a beautiful view on the side. Little bar chairs. Very, very functional, like very, very livable. And then you have a living room that can be turned into a bed. They have a nice TV. Really, really cute. So then we drove from the Isle of Skye all the way back to Edinburgh, and then after our drive from Edinburgh, we took a train all the way down to London to then come home to Paris the next day. So we had a solid 12-hour door-to-door journey, but we did see the sunrise in the Isle of Skye, which was quite an experience, both good and bad. Horrible because the sun was in our face for, I'd say, the first hour and a half of our drive. Like, nothing helped. It was very, very extremely, extremely bad. So beware if you're leaving the Isle of Skye and you're going east, which is what we were doing, going to Inverness, the first part of it. But then it got easier. We did have some fog. My dad's from San Francisco, so that didn't bother him too much. But if you're not used to fog driving, again, just be ready for any kind of terrain here. It does remind me of Ireland and New Zealand a lot in that sense, as in the weather can change on a dime. But yeah, the drive back definitely was easier. Once we got to Inverness, we switched to that really, really big road, which is coming up in videos here. It was this. It was much, much easier, no more narrowness. We drove through Inverness, which was actually a really cute little city. I got some footage, and then we were on the train on our way to London, going through the UK again. Got to London, we had a little dinner at a place I love in London called Mildred's. It is amazing. Highly recommend. If you're vegan or not, you will love it. And then we had a well-deserved sleep, and we took the train back to Paris. So I hope you enjoyed this little glimpse of my Scotland trip with my dad. I hope I gave you some good advice. I'll probably be in London again when my mom comes, because she wants to see London. She's never been. And yeah, like and subscribe.
Boy.
I know.